Have you started? Oh.
You're live around the world.
We will begin with the prayer of invocation and start right where we left last evening. Yogena chittasya parena vacha malam sharirasya chavanyayena yogamadharunam pravantina Patanjali Patanjali Pranamami Patanjalim. Here comes the definition of the word yoga. So far, we have understood one thing about the word yoga, and that is that it is derived. Am I audible? Am I audible there? Can you hear me? A little more. So far, we have seen the word yoga is derived from the verbal root yuj, which means samadhi. So the word yoga goes to mean samadhi. What is this samadhi? What is this samadhi? Don't tell me it is yoga. Yoga is samadhi, samadhi is yoga. No, it doesn't do anything. It doesn't add to any wisdom. Just like that. Yoga samadhi. So then it is a state. Alright, it's a state. But the definition does not provide you with any more knowledge. A definition should make that object available to your understanding immediately. Then it is a definition. If the definition does not do that, then it could be a general statement, but it is not a definition. Now say suppose if I ask, what is Delhi? And somebody says, oh, city. So is Istanbul. What's the big difference? Istanbul is also city, Delhi is also city, and therefore Istanbul is Delhi. You see? If A is B and B is C, therefore A is C. So that definition does not work. A state doesn't suffice. So what is yoga? What is the samadhi? The primary definition is that it is samadhi. Now, all the other meanings which you are going to associate with the word yoga is not primary. It could be incidental. That what is incidental is not intrinsic to the word. ईमानदारी नहीं है उसमें. It is because it is incidental, it is not an honest definition. What is a cow? When somebody says, cow. My neighbor. No, you calling your neighbor as a cow is incidental because you are annoyed with her. Maybe she was knocking some nail in the wall, and that nail finally came into your side. The thin walls, what to do? Then you're annoyed, and that's why you calling her cow. That is not a definition of cow. If you say, what is cow? My neighbor. No. Incidental definition is not intrinsic to that word. There is something which that word by itself has to deliver. There is a meaning which that word intrinsically has. It is not associated by you incidentally. Yoga. And therefore, now we enter into the second sutra. Okay? We have a musical discourse. So it will continue. In India, we have musical discourses. So, are you okay with it? Well, fine. Huh?
We're used to it in Hong Kong.
Yeah, okay. Right. So be a Roman when you are in Rome. So now this is the sutra. Kindly repeat it. Yogaschitta vritti nirodha. Yogaschitta vritti nirodha. What is yoga? Yoga means where the thought processes are suspended, withheld. This is yoga. Now don't tell me that yoga means standing in the same place. Because standing in the same place is something physical to do with the body. Where are we saying, where is this yoga taking place? Where is that kind of stillness? In the mind. And therefore, it has got something to do with the mind. Chitta. What happens over there? The mind is the material which undergoes a change. Okay? Mind is the material which undergoes the change. Now let us say there is, when you look at this glass, there is a thought, a copper glass. Okay? Thought A. Then you look at this table and there is a thought, the table, a wooden table. So thought B. So from thought A to thought B, there is a modification. There is a change which has taken place. Imagine that you have a lump of clay. And from that lump of clay, you create a pot. Then that pot is destroyed, you make a plate. Destroyed, you make a pan. Okay? So that you find there is a modification. There is a modification which is taking place. There is a change of all the forms. So from thought A to thought B to thought C, there is a modification. Now we are not at all concerned, I'm not talking about whether the thoughts are good thoughts or bad thoughts or thoughts of excitement or depression or anything of that sort. What are we simply saying at this point is, there is mind, which is the basic material, which modifies into various thought processes. Then, when this modification of the thought processes is halted, is stopped, when this is stopped, withheld, this state of mind, so mind is not destroyed, or what is halted is only the modifications. So where the modifications of the mind are halted, withdrawn, stopped, suspended, is called as yoga. Yoga chitta vritti nirodha. What is this mind? We did it last time. It is the modification. Mind by itself is also a modification of the sattva guna. Mind by itself is a modification of sattva guna. So the cause of the thoughts is the mind, and the cause of the mind is the sattva guna, right? So in three stages you reach the thought. From sattva guna comes the mind. What is the sattva guna? It is the quality to illumine. The quality to illumine. When you are saying that I know, what do you mean by that statement, I know? I know it is a warm day. Means what? I know I am hungry. What do you mean by that? It simply means that knowing means that object is illumined. Right? There is some temperature of the day, but it is illumined. You don't do anything to it. It becomes known, which means if it was not known, it would remain under the cover of ignorance, darkness. Ignorance simply does nothing but covers it up. I know, it means it is illumined. How it is illumined? It's a different thing. But the very fact that something is illumined, and for this illumination to take place, what do you require? You require thought. Even if there was hunger in the body, hunger is basically what? Hunger is when your sugar levels in the blood go down. That state is then called as hunger. So the body is asking you to replenish it, and that is hunger. When the water level goes down, you feel thirsty, parched, the body is asking to replenish. Again, I know there is hunger, and I know there is thirst, I know there's various things, so all these things are known, and basically what is happening is it is getting illumined. Say suppose there was heat, or there was a pain in the body, but the mind, if the thought did not register the pain, would you know it? Yeah? When you are given anesthesia, when you go to a dentist, everybody has been in a dentist chair, right? I'm not talking about some La La Land story. Huh? So then you are there in the dentist chair, and he gives you an anesthesia, local anesthesia. And he does whatever he has to. He's cutting the skin, he is piercing into the flesh, and yet there is no pain felt. What has happened is, though there is pain, yet the thought does not register it. Isn't it? That the thought does not register the pain, and therefore you don't feel it. And that's why, though it is there, yet it is not illumined. It is not illumined. So, thought is that material through which illumination of the world happens for you. You know the world through this faculty, through this agency of thought. Right? Otherwise, you do not have any other agency through which you can contact the world. The world can be there. But if the thought does not arise, it remains unavailable to you. Right? So, this agency illumines. So, this thought has certain capacity to illumine. How there is that capacity, we will see. But the thought illumines. And because of this, we are saying that the mind is basically composed of the sattva guna. The basic material from which the mind comes, the cause is sattva guna. And the modification of this mind then is the thought. Sattva guna, the quality, the property to illumine, then the mind, which is the modification of this sattva guna, from this mind the thoughts, which are the modification of the mind. Right? And the definition of yoga is where the thought processes are withheld, suspended, stopped, then is called as yoga. Okay? Don't jump to anything that Swamiji is asking us to meditate and stop the thoughts. No. I'm simply asking you to study and listen. Don't get into any hyper spirituality. It's okay. Okay? This is it. Now, sir, we understand what this thought and mind kind of things that you're saying is okay. But what do you mean by halting? What do you mean by that suspension? This is yet not clear to us. And therefore, now please tell that. And here it goes. Nirodha. What is this nirodha? Nirodha comes from the basic, the verbal root rudha, to stop. You've heard this one name, Shri Krishna's son, Aniruddha. The one who is unstoppable. Rudha is to stop. So now, Nirodha means Bahirmukhataya Parinati Vichhedat Antarmukhataya Pratiloma Parinamena Swakarane Layo Yogaha Iti Akhyayate. Basically, it is Nirodha. Nirodha is called as yoga. What is this? Bahirmukhataya Parinati. When the thoughts get modified in form of the external world. Okay? So unless and until the thought gets modified in the form of the external world, you will not know the world. It is not possible to know the world. So the world becomes available to you only when your thought has assumed the form of this world, of any object. Isn't it? Is not that. So now this world is available to you because Bahirmukhataya, so this external world is available. Because the thought is getting modified in those forms. So the first thing is that where the mind is withdrawn, the thought is withdrawn from constantly taking the forms of the world outside. Okay, one. The second thing to happen over here is pratiloma parinamena swakarane laya. Then the pratiloma means devolution. There is one thing as evolution, and there is, is there a word like devolution in English?
Involution.
Involution. Okay, involution. That's a little better. Sorry, not devolution. Involution. So moving back of this thought in its cause. Suppose if you were able to reverse the process of the chicken, from the chicken goes back into the egg goes back into the mother's sac, and so on. So if there is this process of reversing, then you can imagine it here, that this reverse process of allowing the thought to go back to its cause and allowing that mind also to go back into its original cause, then so externally it is not modifying, internally it is involuting. Involuting. If it is involuting, this is called as Nirodha. This is yoga. Oh, we thought yoga is something different. Yoga is meant only to give us good shape. That's on the surface. How long you're going to be a surface swimmer? One day you will have to dive inside. How long can you sit on the, side and splash the water with your legs? Get going, get in. Where you parinama. When these two things are happening, it is called as Nirodha. This Nirodha then is called as Yoga. This is what is called as Samadhi. Right? Okay. Now he says, it is quite possible that this type of a Nirodha can take place in any of the stages or states of the mind. There is an evolutionary, a gradual evolution of the states of the mind. The first one is called as Mudha. Mudha, wherein the predominant characteristic of the mind is that of inertia. Though it is mind, yet it is not functioning to illumine anything for you. That happens to all of us. You could be listening, you could be reading, you could be just sitting in this class, and you could be, don't know what is happening. I've finished class. What happened? I don't know. Now, there's so much happening, and yet you are not able to register why. Why? This state of mind then is called as mood. Then comes the kshipta, disturbed. And what do you mean by a disturbed state of mind? Which means your thoughts are scattered in several directions. This is also the state of confusion. You don't know whether to go right or left, what is right and what is wrong, what to do, what not to do, what is a fact and what is not. Everything appears in a very confused state. Vikshipta. The third state is called as Vikshipta. Vikshipta means where the mind is still thrown in the world outside, but it is not as scattered as before or as confused as before. And in this state of mind, there are some glimpses of calm, of joy, of peace, of happiness, of little clarity. There are glimpses, as if that peace, that clarity, that joy is a visitor, comes and goes. And therefore, most of us live at this level of mind all our lifetime, which is Vikshipta, wherein there is alertness. It is not lethargy, it is not inertia, it is not total confusion, but there is activity, and in that activity, in that confusion also, you have little light of joy, peace and clarity. This state of mind is called as Vikshipta. Okay? This is called as Vikshipta. There is next state in which the mind is not that disturbed, scattered. It has a direction to go. It has a direction to go. The person has a certain clarity about what he wants to do, where he wants to go. Not only about his long-term goals, but about even in his short-term goals of the day. There is clarity. The mind does not gets disturbed that easily, and in such mind, the calm, the clarity, the joy is almost perpetual. It may be disturbed by stray incidences, but as a rule it remains joyful, collected, alert and peaceful. The person, even if there are conflicts that may arise, he is able to resolve those conflicts. That mind does not remain in the state of conflict all the time. He is very easily able to resolve the conflict and come back to the poise. So the fulcrum of balance is always maintained. This state of mind is called as Ekagra Bhumika. Ekagra, single pointed. It has a direction. It is not meandering. It is not Alice in Wonderland, going here and there. There is a direction. You see, this is called as the Ekagra Bhumika. And finally comes that state of mind which is Niruddha Bhumika, wherein the thoughts, the externalization of the mind is stopped and involution of the thought is taking place. So now we have seen there are these 5 states of mind in which this definition of yoga is applicable in the last 2. Ekagra Bhumika and then Niruddha Bhumika. Yoga is possible only in these two states of mind. So if there is any spiritual practice that one must do, then that is to bring yourself, to collect yourself to this Ekagra Bhumika. If you are disturbed, find out the reason and resolve that conflict. Do not encourage yourself to sink in any form of despair or even form of violence inside. Alright? Here begins your spiritual practice. This is the journey. When you understand that there is no point in living, spending your life in this bhumika, on this level, everybody is born almost on this bhumika, and if you are going to live on this bhumika, on this platform, then your life has been like a continuous journey just on the same plane. Evolution will be when you have moved to the Ekagra Bhumika, or your attempt even to move to this Ekagra Bhumika and then to the Niruddha Bhumika, then it is evolution. Okay? So now he says that in the Ekagra Bhumika, what is the yoga? Ekag, he means Bhoja, King Bhoja. That is the, you know this now. We are following that Rajamarkanda, his particular commentary. King Bhoja, he writes, the commentator says, Ekagre bahirvritti nirodha niruddhecha sarvasam samskarana vrittinam samskaranam cha pravilayaha. Ekagre, in the bhumika, in that bhumika means actually the platform, the state or the stage. Bhumi. Bhumi means the earth, the ground on which you are standing. What is the ground from where you are standing, operating and contacting the world? Which is this ground? So let that ground be the ground of Ekagra, single pointed, calm, clear, collected. It is required. And I must tell you this, that when one operates from this bhumika, wherein the person is collected and calm, the decisions that he makes will be more effective. The understanding that he gathers will be less distorted. And therefore the experiences that he have will be of peace and joy. If you find that, well, I'm not happy, there is despair, there is dejection, don't blame my mother and father or sisters and brothers or neighbors or God or someone. Word. Lift yourself. There is one shloka that Bhagavan Shri Krishna gives in Bhagavad Gita. He says, Uddhared atmanatmanam natmanam avasalaye. You lift yourself. People are saying God is going to lift you. Shri Krishna says that don't even wait for some God to come and do things for you. The very dependence itself will cause you pain. Then if you are going to say that I am waiting for God to help me, then what is wrong in saying that I am waiting for my wife or my husband to help me? What is wrong? It is also equally dependence. And please, if you are going to say what is wrong in asking people to, there is nothing wrong, but you see, the rest of the world also, everybody has his own problems. They may entertain you for 1 or 2 days, and then after nobody is really going to bother about you. Unless and until you assume the responsibility of your life on your shoulders, nobody is going to be of any help. You have to take that responsibility on your own shoulders. Oh, God is going to do it for me. Well, fine. That means that you don't need to do anything about your life. If God, that is God's need, not yours. For you to become peaceful, for you to become happy, it is God's need, it's not your need. Is that so? If it is your need, you work on it. When you see that as your need, but you are making somebody else work for it, that means it is just a lazy philosophy of laziness. So yoga is purushartha pradhana. Okay? So now, here he goes. Shri Krishna says, lift yourself by yourself. Natmanam avasadayet. Don't destroy yourself. Do not destroy yourself. The more you keep on saying that somebody else has to come help and do things for you, you are just destroying your time, you are destroying your energy, you are destroying your intelligence. And at the end you will have nothing else but only say to blame the world. They did not do things for me. They might not do. It's your life. You got to do. So from here, having gone in the Vikshipta Bhumika does not mean that you have to live there. Now what do? Left. But I'm disturbed easily. People keep on disturbing me. Hey, they are just helping you to know that how easily you can get disturbed. God has planted things all around you so that they keep on reminding you. This must be very common, right, Gabriela? We get angry and then people remind us, but you're a spiritual person, how do you get angry? All the time. You get angry? Oh, you also get angry? And when somebody says, you practice yoga, you get angry. You say like this? Yeah. And that enrages you even more. So what? Now till now it was so what? Now it becomes so what? Should I stop going to yoga because of you? And then so they're just reminding you. It is just a reminder. So anyway, so don't, instead of blaming, get going. Ekagra Bhumika. Lift yourself, come to that Ekagra Bhumika. So what happens in Ekagra Bhumika? Bahirvritti Nirodha. So the first definition of Nirodha was that the externalization of the thought is stopped. Okay? Externalization of the thought is stopped. Where does it happen? In Ekagra Bhumika. Okay? So now the yoga has begun. When you allow the Ekagra Bhumika to flower in your life, you already are in the practice of yoga. You're already there in the practice of yoga. So here he says, Ekagre bahirvritti nirodha. Niruddhecha, and when all the thought processes are still. It's like the water which is not modifying into waves, bubbles, etc. Just water which is still. When this happens, when that mind is still without any modifications, then what happens? He says, Niruddhe, in that bhumika, in that state, Sarvasam Vrittinam, all the vrittis, as well as the vrittis is something that is there on the most conscious level of the mind. But what is there in the deep, dark recesses of the mind, in the subconscious and unconscious, is the seed. Externally, some things may not really happen, but deeper down into that, the devil still lives. Okay? So those samskaras, those latent impressions will always be there. Now, in the Niruddha Bhumika, even these samskaras start becoming nullified. Impotent. Yes, let's use this word. It's better. What happens with these samskaras is that they start becoming impotent. Impotent means now they are incapable of breeding further. Have you not observed this with yourselves? That certain people, certain things keep triggering a particular kind of emotion in you always. As if you are caught up in a loop. As if you are caught up in a loop. If you had found that your father used to irritate you with something, now anywhere outside in the world somebody has the same kind of attitude or same kind of even a gait, the walking style, it just triggers off that. Just looking at this person I feel irritated. Does it not happen? From where is this reaction coming? From where is this kind of a reaction coming? Another thing that you will notice is people get into one relationship, into another relationship, into third, into fourth. If you have found that your first relationship was abusive and then you get into the second, that is also abusive. The third is, it is not that you are destined to meet only people like that. It is because you are attracted to the same kind of things to happen to you again and again and again. It is the loop. One is caught up in that loop. Why does this keep happening? Is because the latent impression, which is deep down into the subconscious and unconscious levels of the mind, is operating, and because of which our decisions and emotions are triggered. A lot of time you know that you don't want to do something, but you end up doing just that what you thought you will not. How many times you have thought that you will sleep early, but then Facebook? Why? All Indian politicians, what are they saying? Against Modi, eh? Let me see. Inconsequential, but then we keep doing the same thing. When we keep doing the same thing, knowing which is to be avoided, and yet getting caught up in the same thing again and again. Why? Mistake can be done only once. Then after it is not a mistake, then after it is an expertise. Because you're practicing it over again and again. You're just developing your acumen. What's it? Mistake can be only once. It cannot be again. But what is it that propels you into that course again and again is the subconscious and unconscious, which has got more control over the life than your conscious decisions. Okay? And this subconscious unconscious is what is called as samskaras over here in the Indian philosophy. They are called as the samskaras. Okay? They are the latent impressions. They go and sit down. They are not directly available. What is directly available is their effect. You are angry looking at someone, that is directly available. But why you are angry at that person? And the same kind of people keep on invoking anger in you, provoking anger in you, is because there is this samskaras. So in the Nirodha Bhumika, this is what happens. In the fifth Bhumika, even these samskaras start rolling back. They become ineffectual. And so the thoughts roll back into the mind. The mind, which is the collection of all these samskaras, starts rolling back into its cause, the sattva guna and the prakriti. So both these things, the externalization, stopping of the externalization, and internal involution of the thought is called as nirodha. This process then is called as nirodha. Chitta vritti nirodha. Okay? Okay. Well, sir, that is all okay. That the thought may not be externalizing, or the thought also is involuting. Then in that case, what happens? What happens? It can, whatever it may be. So what happens? And here it goes, Sutra number 3. Tadam. Tada drashtuhu Svarupe Avasthanam Tada Drashtuhu Svarupe Avasthanam. Then after, tada, then after. Drashta means the seer. Who is the seer? Are you able to see the world? Yes, I can see the world. Now the world just does not mean, this, your internal world too. Your internal world too. So you are the seer. The one who sees is the seer. And who is seeing? And that is you. Then we are talking about you in this state of mind. Tada, then what happens? Then drashtuhu of this seer, Svarupe Avasthanam, is centered in his own nature. He is seated in his own nature. What is the present condition then? Not in your own nature. This is the reason why everybody feels that, he is a stranger in the world. You may be in your family, but you really feel that nobody understands me, nobody knows me, I don't know what they are doing, why they are doing. Everybody feels, not there. Stranger, why? Away from your own nature. How can you be away from your own being, your own nature? The heat, what do they call? Aushnyam, the heat. The heat is the nature of the fire. Can the fire be away from the heat? No, heat is here but fire is here. Can there be anything like that? Can the heat ever move away from its own nature? It's not possible. Then how can you move away from your own nature? Now that in case where the thoughts have halted, you are seated in your own nature, which means you have moved away from your own nature, but how is it possible? The whole proposal seems to be very, very shaky. Okay? This seems to be very, very shaky. So now there is the responsibility on the teacher to show to you what is the meaning of moving away from the self, moving away from the nature, and being centered in the nature. Okay? There are words, and those words require an explanation. In spite of that, if those words are not rational, then it should be dropped, because then it is pure nonsense. Okay? So now let us see what he means by that. Moving away from the nature, he means, is, understand this. The consciousness that I am, you are conscious of your being or not, that you are, or you need to be made aware that you are. You are aware, you don't need to be made aware that you are. I am. What I am, good, bad, beautiful, ugly, that people may tell me. But I am is something that is not required to be told by anyone. There is no agency that is required to prove to me my own existence. It is self-evident. Swayam Siddha. Is not it? This fact is not made available to you by anyone. I am. You don't require doctors to certify that you exist. Swayam Siddha, Swayam Prakash. I told you, right, that there was this woman crying. Yeah? And the doctors are not crying. She was sitting to her very sick husband in the hospital. And then the doctor came and said that, sorry madam, he is dead. And she started wailing very loudly, crying. The husband wakes up and says, why are you crying? That's because you are dead. I'm not dead. He says, shut up, lie down, the doctor knows it better. Whether you are existing or not, do you require a doctor to tell you that? Do you require any agency? Whom do you require? Ahamasmi, I am. Hey, this fact is available to you. Okay? So this consciousness, this awareness that I am, awareness and I are not two. I am aware of myself, like I am aware of this glass. Awareness itself is what is the nature of I. This consciousness. Now, the thought is a material which is capable of receiving the reflection. Just as all these surfaces are receiving the sunlight, right? But if it is a mirror or it is a glass, it can reflect better than this rough surface. Right? So also, thought is also an inert material, but because it is consisting, it is composed of the sattva guna, it has the quality to reflect. And therefore it receives the reflection of this consciousness. And when this consciousness is reflected in the thought, now there is a thought, I am. What is the thought? I am. Now you provide all other adjectives to it. I am Indian, I am Chinese, I am good, I am bad, I am beautiful, I want to be more beautiful, I want to be the most beautiful. Can Iyengar yoga make me that? I want to surpass every Apsara, Urvashi, Rambha, Trailokya Sundari I want to be. You want. So whatever, now I am is available in the thought. Now you provide everything else depending upon the quality of that thought. That I am will appear. Now please look at that. The I am, which is pure consciousness, the reflection of this self in the thought, and now the various other adjectives which the thought can provide, concepts that thought can provide, comes, and now what has become of I? I am good, I am bad, I am nice, I want to be nicer. I am unhappy, I want to be not more unhappy. There can be no such thing. I am holy and I am holier than thou. No, everything is possible. Now you see the I, which is pure, immaculate, untouched by anything, becomes available in the thought, and when it is in the thought, the rest of the things are going to malign this reflection. If there is water in a bucket, and if that water is muddy water, the reflection of the sun falling in that bucket will also appear murky, muddy. Isn't it? So now that sun has become muddy sun. So I have become happy, unhappy, good, bad, nice. Everything I have become so moved away from your own nature. Your nature is that which is untouched by any psychology. Your nature is that which is untouched by any physical existence. But now I have become, I am fat, I am thin, I am beautiful, I am black, I am brown, I am yellow, I am green, whatever. All the 7 colors. Euric range. Huh? Everything, it's possible. Where did it happen? Having fallen into the thought, in that puddle of the thought. Okay? And this is called as moving away from the self, away from the nature. But what if this material in which the reflection takes place is not available? What if this material itself is not available? The sun remains sun, up in the sky, up in the space. Like that, here is what we are saying, that when that thought is not there, the seer remains in his own nature. You understand? Now when it was said that he is not centered in his own nature or centered in his nature, it is what is meant is that identification of that reflection with the material in which it is reflected. So the quality of mind is like the quality of the water. If that water is murky and shaky, the reflection also will be murky and shaky. Like that, if that mind is murky and shaky, I am murky, I am shaky. This is what we say. So, come on. My knowledge is coming back. Okay, wait. What to do? Tada drashtuhu swarupeva sthanam. Then that drashta, the seer, is centered in his own nature. Okay? Bhojavritti. Can I take your 5 more minutes? Is that okay? All of you? Okay. So now the commentary. Drashtuhu purushasya tasmin kale swarupe chinmatratayam avasthanam sthiti bhavati. What happens then, he says, purushasya, of this conscious being. Purusha means conscious being. Whether you are a man, woman, or child, adult, it does not matter. I am a conscious being. I know. I know my own presence, I know the presence of the world. I am conscious being. Purushasya tasmin kale. In that moment, where the thoughts are not externalizing and the involution of the mind is taking place, at that time what happens? Swarupe, chinmatratayam, that where it is, Swarupa means that in his own nature, what is the nature of that conscious being? The nature is just pure awareness. This awareness does not have any name, any form. Every name and form is the content of the awareness. You are aware of this glass. So this glass is an object in the awareness. Do you see this? The glass is an object in the awareness. Whereas, where is this awareness? There is no place where you can say awareness is resting. Everything is in the awareness. And that we will be just stepping into Vedanta if I go a little further. But what is the nature of this conscious being? Pure awareness. Chinmatratayam. Thus, he means, I'm using the gender, he, she, whatever, there is no gender. Awareness does not have any gender. The gender is only limited to the body, physical body. It doesn't go even beyond that. Just a surface. And therefore, when you are going to see the world as world with a division of men and women, you are just living on the surface of the life. This division of men and women is just on the top. Behind every man, behind every woman, there is a person. There is a person. That person does not have a gender. There are traits of men and women. That's it. Some traits could be predominant, even if there is a body of a man, even if there is a body of a woman. That does not make any difference. Just, if you are going to see the world as a world of only of men and women, you're just living at the very superficial level. Every person, every man, every woman is basically a person. Don't even stay limited to the person, go beyond. Because the one who is even behind this person, behind this personality, is the one who is real. Personality is just a mask. The personality is also only a mask. But right behind the personality is the real person. And if you are able to move there yourself from that center, then you look at the world and you find that there are physical bodies like the clothes that we are wearing. The person who's wearing the clothes is the person, the psychology. And far beyond that is the real. Now your perspective of the world will change as much as you are able to move closer to this center. So now, tada drashtuhu swarupe avasthanam means, he says, Purushasya tasmin kale swarupe chinmatratayam avasthanam sthitihi bhavati. It is the state wherein, as if that awareness has not moved into the thought. You can, if I have to use this word, that when the reflection of the sun falls in this bucket, it is like the sun moving into the bucket. The sun has really not moved. What has happened is only that this material is reflecting the sun. But from where has this reflection come? It has come from the sun. If the sun was not there, where would the reflection be from? So the sun is responsible to come into for the reflection to be there in the bucket. So when that bucket and the water is not there, where is the reflection? Back in its own nature. Okay. Alright? Drashtu Swarupe Vasthana. There is something more, but we will see this particular thing in the next Yoga Sutra class. Till then, Hari Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Avashishyate Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thank you, friends. Thank you all. You may have to switch this off. Thank you, Diego.
Welcome.